Welcome to Retrospectrum, the podcast where a couple of nerds listen to a ton of music. This week, we're talking about the rockin' badass L7.
Dude, I want to say thank you for giving me a non-pop artist for one time this season. I've listened to so much pop music because of this, like so much more than I ever have, and this one was like,
a
it was
reprieve.
nice.
Yeah, totally.
It was a refreshing break.
And I wasn't doing the pop thing on purpose. Like, it just kind of happened.
No, I know.
And I know both of us lean towards this type of shit anyway. So it was good for me too. I fucking love L7. I actually just found my old CDs from high school the other day, and I found all my old L7 records. I was actually gonna text you pictures of them because it was fun to find those. Yeah.
Nice. This was one that I was like kind of pleasantly surprised and kind of blown away by. I didn't expect there to be as much depth, but like doing the research when they were talking about how they were viewed in the media and stuff, I was a byproduct of that. Like everything I knew about them was from how the media portrayed them. And so I'm really glad that I actually got to get into it and get to know them and listen to all the stuff that I never would have really paid attention to before.
I love that. That's what this is all about, baby.
Broadening horizons.
Exactly. So enjoy the musical stylings of L7.
What's a good color for L7? If you had to sum up L7 in a color, what color would it be?
Probably green.
Alexa, make the light green. That adds almost nothing.
But have you seen the skeleton hands t-shirts that are green?
Yeah. I saw a couple of tattoos of the skeleton hands, and I was like, that's a pretty cool tattoo. I don't know that I feel that strong enough about this band to get a tattoo, but those were pretty cool.
Yeah, I've been wanting that shirt forever. I used to have an L7 shirt back in the day, but it burned in the fire.
Well, so in the chit chatty vein, have you been up to anything interesting recently? Been to any shows, read any good books?
Yes, both. But I went to see Joan Jett and Alanis Morissette last week.
Joan Jett, that seems relevant.
It is very relevant, as she is friends with L7 and also covers the Replacements and did that song live. That's the video that I sent you.
The Replacement songs have been popping into and out of my head for the last 2 weeks. Like I'm still grooving on them.
Yeah, I'm still grooving on Selena. I'm not going to lie. Selena songs are emblazoned in my mind for all eternity, and I love it. I'm never annoyed when a Selena song's in my head. Although lately they've kind of been keeping me up. Like if I wake up at like 3, 4, 5 in the morning, it's Selena on repeat. My brain won't stop thinking the words to Selena songs. And it's a different song every time.
In Spanish?
Yeah. I know most of the words to most of her songs at this point. It's cool though, because it helped me learn a lot of new words that I didn't know, because like a lot of the words in her songs are kind of slang words and stuff.
Yeah.
And Duolingo doesn't really fulfill all of that for me. So I don't know. I'll learn some new words through Selena, which is pretty sick. Carcacha, for instance.
That's like a broken down car, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A beater.
I learned that one too. From Selena research. So how was Joan Jett?
It was great.
Joan Jett and who else?
Joan and Alanis put on a fucking amazing show. I've seen both of them before, but something about this show for Joan, she really fucking went hard. It was so goddamn good. And she's so fucking hot still. And her and Alanis have the buffest arms. Oh my God, they're both so hot. Me and Car both cry every time. Alanis forever. Alanis is a god.
She literally was in Dogma.
Exactly. A lot of people don't understand how fucking good she is. Like, I think a lot of people just kind of think of her as Jagged Little Pill, angry bitch from the 90s. And that's all they know. And they don't really understand, first of all, how fucking powerful her voice is. Also, just she's a really good person. Like, and she's so deep. Her lyrics are so complex. And yeah, she's a bad bitch. She puts on one of the best shows ever, period. And she, oh my God, she spins during her shows in circles during random songs for like the whole fucking song. She'll be spinning in a circle. It's crazy, dude. I don't know how she does it. And she'll fall down every now and then, but like it's fucking crazy. And also, now that I know what ADHD looks like, me and Carl were both like, that bitch has ADHD too.
Who was better?
I don't know. I don't know who's better. They're both amazing, honestly. And it's a totally different thing, the two of them, you know?
Yeah, it seems like a really good bill, even though they're different.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be a lot of crossover. You get like a wide variety of songs. You know, it's not going to be the same thing for 4 hours.
Yeah, I mean, Alanis even has a lot of variety in her own shit. Joan, not quite as much, but last time I saw Alanis, Shirley Manson was there. Garbage. And that was fucking primo. And also Cat Power opened. And either we missed her or she missed us. I don't know if she didn't show up or if we were late, but we didn't see her, which, you know.
I went and saw Murder by Death last weekend. Have you ever listened to them?
I don't think so. I think the band name turned me off.
Well, it's based on an old movie from the 50s or 60s or something. But they're like an alt country band that I was looking them. I don't know. This podcast has ruined me. I was doing some research on them because I've listened to them for like 20 years, but I don't really know anything about them. And so I was like, oh, I'll see what they're all about. And I thought it was weird. They're a really good band. They're super solid. They've been playing for 20 years, but they played at like not a huge venue in Oklahoma City, and it wasn't totally sold out. And one of the people I was there with, we were talking like, why are they not like huge, especially here? Like this seems like a place that it would be like they could really develop a huge following and all that stuff. And the people that were there are like the punk crew was there, and they've always been involved in like the punk scene and a lot more alternative. And I was like, why do punk rockers like this band? How did they like, why is this the band they connect with? Because they're kind of country and moody, and
Yeah.
I don't know, they have a bunch of different influences and stuff.
Interesting.
But I looked them up, and the dude from Thursday discovered them in like 2002 or 3 and got them signed to the same label as them and like My Chemical Romance and stuff. And so their early albums came out on the like independent punk albums, and I think it just hit all the people that are my age at the same time, and they've been, I don't know, like flying under the radar ever since. But it's crazy because they've been doing it consistently for 20 years. As far as I know, they haven't broken up. They've done an album every few years. But we were talking about like, why are they not more popular? And then before every single song, he was like, this is a depressing song about death and dying. And or like would say something that was like, okay, I get it. Like,
And you're like, ah.
yes. Like, you're explaining why you have not, it's not off-putting by any means, but it's like why you haven't broken into the mainstream. These songs are not fun necessarily.
I had no idea that they were country related.
Yeah, they've got a bunch of stuff. There's kind of like,
I wouldn't have guessed that.
have you ever listened to Gogol Bordello?
Yeah.
There's some crossover. I mean, they're not from Europe. They're from like Indiana or something, but they're like the Midwestern Gogol Bordello. They have a lot of like very eclectic
Weird
song influences. Some of their stuff sounds like circus music or like klezmer music, or I don't, there's a lot of variety, but I'd like would generally lump them in as like a alt or punk country. And the guy's got a real like rich, deep voice, like kind of Nick Cavey.
I do love Nick Cave.
They're worth checking out.
Speaking of Nick Cave, did you watch Pretend We're Dead, the documentary?
I did.
Oh my God, wasn't it so good?
It was good. It was like the perfect amount of retro, like looking back on stuff, but also having footage from that time. So it kind of felt like you were on tour with them.
See, that's what was so sick about it, because I feel like a lot of rockumentaries, it's mostly just like interviews about that sort of stuff, when this one actually had the legitimate footage of that stuff, which was so cool to see and just entertaining as fuck when they're like pushing the vans and shit and like mooning the camera. And the footage of them all dancing with Nick Cave was really entertaining to me because I've never seen him be so like happy.
He did not seem like he wanted to be on camera. There were a couple of scenes where he was in there like partying, and he was like, no, like this doesn't need to be documented.
The fans
sort of
can't see the real me.
Yeah. I can't be having a good time. I have a reputation.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he seemed so happy when they're all like dancing there. Rare footage.
That seemed like a lot of fun. For all the lack of quote unquote success that L7 experienced, you know, based on all their expectations and everything, it seems like they had a great time for most of that run. You know, like it seems like they really enjoyed the ride. They didn't end up being like the next Nirvana or whatever. For such a band that I think dealt with like serious or heavy content, they also really did a good job of balancing that with like, we're just here to rock and have a great time.
Yeah, I think they're way more like interested in having fun than maybe Bikini Kill or something.
Yes.
Bikini Kill's way more like in your face with the messages.
And I think that came across in some of the interviews too. It was like they get lumped in with Bikini Kill and like Riot Girl and stuff, but as they were like, that's not really us. That's not really our thing. Like it's cool that that exists. They weren't opposed to it or anything, but it wasn't their thing really. But that like mentally for me was kind of I was guilty of lumping them in with Riot Girl and alternative girl band music and stuff.
I've just always thought of them as a punk band because I listened to them back in the day. Did you listen to them at all back in the day?
No, the only reason I know that, and that's probably why I have the opinion of them, but the only reason I really know anything about them is from like VH1, retrospective shows and stuff that they used to do, like I Love the 90s and stuff like that. Or I had seen clips of them from that, but just kind of
Of
mentally,
like the tampon thing or whatever.
yeah. I just kind of grouped them in with like grunge and it was admittedly reductive, but I had never gone out of my way to listen to
I feel
them.
like it's weird because so many people lump them in with grunge, but I feel like they're not grunge to me. They're straight up punk and metal to me.
I think they got into like a little bit of
I mean,
grunge.
like they were friends with grunge bands, but that doesn't make their band grunge, is how I feel about it.
They were on Sub Pop, which I think does a lot, and they were friends with Nirvana and Courtney Love. And I think you're right. I think they got more like in the later albums, like a little more alt rock stuff, like all the stuff that was played on the radio in the early 2000s, all the butt rock shit was like actually good. They were like a good version of that stuff. I didn't think it kept with like punk as much as like heavy rock and metal, like super metal, way more metal than I was expecting.
They're metal as fuck. Yeah, they're metal as
Yeah.
fuck. They're so fucking good, dude. Did you like enjoy every second of listening to this shit?
Yeah, there wasn't any like even the stuff that wasn't well received at the time, even the later albums that were like past their peak sort of stuff, I still thought they were good. And their comeback stuff I thought was good. There wasn't anything that was like a low point or unlistenable or really even felt like out of character.
I thought they did have one low point, which was the album without Jennifer, number 6.
Oh, Slap Happy.
Yes, that was the low point for me. And it was more of a low point the first time I listened through it, but then I listened back through it a few more times and it grew on me. But at first I was like, this one isn't quite as good as the rest. I don't know. I think maybe there's just a little something missing with Jennifer. She was a really big personality, so it just felt a little bit weaker to me.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. I think if you had to pick the worst album or whatever, I think that would be the general consensus that it's that one. But like it wasn't terrible. Like it wasn't unlistenable or
I
like
agree.
way
Nothing
off
was
base.
none of it's bad.
That's kind of what I mean. It's like it was all good, even the low point.
The first 3 are the strongest, I think. And I think my favorite is the second one, Smell the Magic.
I have fluctuated. I haven't been able to pick. I think I could choose from Smell the Magic, Bricks Are Heavy, or Hungry for Stink. Any of those three, I think, would be my favorite depending on the day. I think those are 3 really solid albums.
For me, it's the first 3. My note on the first one is these bitches rock fucking hard.
Yeah. Well, you want to go back to the beginning and work our way through it?
If you want. I mean, number 2 is my favorite. It really does it for me. And when I was younger, I'm pretty sure I had the first 3, so maybe that is part of it.
So you were familiar with all of those?
Yeah, I really liked them when I was like probably like 12 to 16 or whatever, Yeah, I actually got into them around the same time I got into Fugazi.
That makes sense.
And they are fans of Fugazi.
That was one of the connections I found. They played some shows with Fugazi in '92. They were talking about when Joan Jett came to their show or whatever and knew some of their songs, but also knew some Fugazi songs. They were like, she's really cool. And I was like, yeah.
Yeah, no, Joan was one of the people that was like, this band is going to be big. Like, I'm pretty sure she encouraged them to go get it. God, they were so funny in that rockumentary, dude. These bitches are hilarious. They're like teenage boys. They remind me of me when I was that age.
That's what I thought when the cameras were on. It felt like home movies, you know what I mean? Where you kind of ham it up a little bit or you're kind of goofy or like because you know the camera's on. It was a really fun vibe.
They're funny little dirty little punks.
Yeah, yes.
And punk girls are fucking wild, man. I don't know if you had friends like that other than me back in the day. But punk girls are fucking wild.
Well, so I thought it was a different dynamic for them because they were a little bit older when they really started, even like their first album came out in 88 and they were already like in their late 20s by then. So they weren't teenagers or kids like figuring it out. They were like as adults. And I think that kind of gave them a little bit more stability right out of the gate a little bit, and kind of separated them again from the Riot Girl movement, because a lot of the stuff was talking about how like that was cool, but it was on like college campuses and they were like 10 years older than Bikini Kill and all the people that were doing Riot Girl stuff, because they were all like not necessarily next generation, but like the other side of Gen X. Like they were elder Gen X and Riot Girl was more of the like young Gen X people. But I did think that was an interesting dynamic.
Well, it's interesting that you bring that up, because when Susie in the documentary, when she quit the band and was talking about being a loser that fucked up her whole life, and like all she ever did was dick around and play music, and now she has nothing to show for it, kind of a vibe.
Yeah.
Because they were all broke and stuff. And I was like, damn, that's so relatable. I spent basically my whole 30s being like, fuck, I've just done art my whole life and now I have no money. Like, ooh. So I related to that bit. But it was sick that social media like revived the band.
Yeah, I thought so too. It was like it was all due to Facebook likes, posting pictures and stuff, and actually seeing, because it makes sense. I mean, they split up in 2001, and that was pre any social media. So like they didn't have. And there's interviews where I said like they didn't have a publicist still. They'd been dropped by their major label. Nobody really had any interest in keeping them relevant or present. They weren't an active band anymore. They weren't signed to a label. You know, they weren't going to like reissue stuff because it didn't sell that well the first time.
It seemed like they also fucking hated doing interviews too, because interviewers are so annoying and always ask the same questions and always harp on the fact that they're all girls or whatever. And they're like so not interested in talking about that.
Yeah, every single interview was like, "Well, we know you guys asked us not to call you an all-girl band, but you are an all," and it was just like, yeah,
but we're gonna do that,
yeah,
and then we're gonna ask you about it.
Yeah, exactly. It was like,
and like multiple interviews, they would be like, "Are we? How do you know?"
Yeah,
shit like that. And I'm like, that's shit I would say. Sounds like me. Also, I did heavy research trying to find out which ones of them are queer, because I know that Donita, is that her name?
Mm-hmm.
She has openly said in one of the documentaries that I watched, she was like, yeah, we met the chicks from Luna Chicks, and they're all like big dykes riding in on their motorcycles or whatever. And she was like, damn, I wish I could be a dyke and do all that fun stuff on motorcycles and stuff like that. And so I'm assuming she's not a lesbian, because she said she wished she was, or maybe she is. I get heavy lesbian vibes from Susie. And she was the one that I kind of had the crush on back in the day. I watched the Headbangers Ball interview of them.
Yeah.
And they were just not having it. But at one point in that interview, one of them said that they think they're pretty relatable unless you're a hardcore Christian or a right-wing jerk, which I thought was pretty funny. And I agree.
Dude, I wish that there was still television like Headbangers Ball where they would just have like awkward, not overproduced, like they just let people be real people. Yes. And it like created some real moments of tension and weirdness, but it's also
so much better.
Yeah, you got like a real vibe of who, or at least more of a vibe than like a prepackaged thing. And
I hate that when everyone's reading off teleprompters and shit, you know, like they just threw this little Headbangers Ball chick just to the wolves, man. She would be having to interview all these asshole bands that were just not fucking having it. And she would be stumbling through it hella awkwardly, like on her. And she's thinking, they told me to ask these questions, so this is what I'm doing, you know. Right. And the bands are just not ever having it, and she's just having to awkwardly be like, so anyway, you know.
But for a band like L7 that I think really has an interest in, you know, throwing a monkey wrench in the smooth operations of the media, that makes it a little extra difficult. Like I think they were being intentionally obtuse and difficult just to make the interviews probably entertaining for them
all the time in all the interviews. Yes, exactly. And it would be hard to not be like that if you're getting interviewed all the time and it's like the same shit over and over. And it kind of reminds me of the Replacements, how like defiant they were just in general, and they were like they wanted fame but they didn't.
Yes.
Like I feel like L7 was the same way. It's
I think
like,
so too.
We want part of this, but we don't want the bullshit that comes along with it. Like we want to do our thing and make money, but we don't want to fucking put up with the fucking dumbass media and whatever.
L7 felt a little more put together than the replacements did, a little more focused.
It's because they're women.
And like musically, I think they were a little more tighter. I think they were better musicians and more consistent.
They were really good
They're
musicians.
so good,
And
dude.
like apparently the drummer, everyone loses their shit about the drummer. Her favorite drummer is Keith Moon. So I thought that was interesting.
I watched a video or an interview with Donita, and she said that her guitar influences were the Ramones. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I get a lot of Ramones, but I also feel like there's a lot of the like Motorhead, and I don't know. In somewhere in here, I wrote this sounds like Patti
Yes.
Smith and Iron Maiden had a baby. Like, this feels like a
Yes.
perfect
And they
blend.
were fans of Patti Smith
Yeah.
too. I'd be willing to bet that they were also fans of Iron Maiden.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, I feel like they connected to a lot of the bands. They were a big fan of Iggy Pop too, and I feel like Iggy Pop on the replacements kind of have a thing going on.
And I think it goes back to like thinking of them as a grunge band. I didn't really know where they were from, and so listening to all the albums and like the constant LA references and stuff, I was like, okay, they must be an LA band. But half of them are from Chicago originally. Only one of them is like a California native. Two of them are from Chicago.
Jennifer, right? Yeah, Jennifer.
Susie, you mentioned Susie. She was born in Altus, Oklahoma. So she's from Altus.
Yeah.
I feel like there needs to be a statue of her in the center of Altus as like the coolest person ever to come from
that would be
Altus,
amazing.
Oklahoma.
Yeah, that town's a shithole. You know, they would never do something that cool.
Yeah, I know.
That town almost doesn't exist.
Like, you know how there's like Garth Brooks water tower in Yukon and Toby Keith water tower and more. It's like we need a Susie Gardner water tower in Altus.
Oh my god.
Balance out the forces.
That would be hilarious.
I think I'm gonna start this petition. I think I'm gonna get really involved in local.
Oh my god!
Politics.
Yes, that's hilarious. I am actually friends with a couple of them on Instagram.
Oh yeah.
So I was like, should I be asking them to do an interview with us?
Yeah, we could ask them about what was it like being in a girl band in the
Never,
90s.
I would never.
But they do feel like people that would be down to do a low, like a no frills DIY sort of podcast and just zoom in and chat for a while. Like,
definitely.
They seem very down to earth, even still.
Yeah, they seem like me to me, you know, and like people I grew up with.
So they formed in 84, but they didn't release their first album until 1988. They swapped out bass players and guitar players, or drummers, bass players and drummers. They had to tweak their rhythm section up until their debut album.
Up until they nailed it.
Well, it has a different drummer. Dee wasn't on the first album, but I think every album after that she was a part of. But that first tour, or not first tour, but like their first album was released on Epitaph Records because they toured with Bad Religion in like 1987.
That makes sense.
And so Brett Gurewitz signed them to Epitaph and then produced that first album too. So I thought that was a really cool like tie in to the established punk scene. I didn't realize I would have grouped this way more with like the grunge, and I knew about like Butch Vig and that sort of stuff much more than like the California punk rock scene. I like in my head they weren't really even a punk rock band.
See, I was the opposite. I never associated them with grunge. Like when I was a youth, I don't know if I even knew that they were friends with those bands and stuff, even though I was totally obsessed with Nirvana.
And that first album, it is just straight up like it's half punk and half metal in equal parts, and it rocks. The first like two albums are just,
it really does. It rocks so fucking hard.
It's like
the fucking guitar riffs, dude, and they start them off like the first song will have like the sickest fucking riff, dude, and it just gets you into it right away. And I love that.
Yeah.
American Society's fucking primo punk rock poetry on that second album. I listened to that album, the second album, I listened to on repeat like 5 times before I moved to the next one because I just love it so much.
It came out as the EP first. It was only 6 songs, and it was released like this. I think is where the grunge grouping or connection comes in, because it was released on Sub Pop, which is like Seattle based and like the Seattle alternative indie label. And so it came out as a 6-song EP first, and then they added those last 3. So American Society would have been one that they re-released it the next year, I think, with 3 more tracks on it. And it's since been remastered, but like everything, it all sounds really good. All the production is really good all the way back to the first albums. Even the stuff that they did on their own, I still thought I thought it sounded good. Nothing sounded like the first one's a little bit rougher, but I also think that was a reflection of them at the time too. Like it wasn't like poorly recorded, and
Sure.
they didn't try to do a bunch of studio stuff to it to like get in the way of their what they actually sounded like, which I appreciated.
The first two were rougher, and then the third one became a little bit more polished and felt like a little more produced to me.
So how did you feel about Bricks Are Heavy, about the third album?
It's great. I like it slightly less than the other one that I love. But yeah, it just felt a little bit more mainstream, I guess, in a way.
Yeah.
Starts off with another fucking sick guitar riff. Pretend We're Dead. Fucking classic. I like the more produced vibe, just a little bit less. And the rest of their albums were all more produced after that. So
yeah, I think that's true. I can agree with you on that. It is more produced. This was the one that Butch Vig did, and he's, iconic producer in the vein of like, he's one of those guys that's always talked about, like Steve Albini or Rick Rubin.
Which is interesting because in the documentaries, one of the documentaries that I watched, it was talking about him, and it was like he was nobody at the time. He had just kind of gotten some momentum.
Well, he had done Nirvana, and that was huge. Like that was the big
right, but that was like the turning point.
Right,
and this was right around the same time. But he wasn't like a household name or anything. Like somebody mispronounced his name in the fucking documentary. Like. Like he wasn't a name like that back then. This shit is what made him the name.
Yeah, this is part of that whole, he's also in Garbage.
Oh, damn. I didn't even know that. Garbage is so good. God, they're so good.
Yeah, he plays drums in Garbage too. So it's like,
I enjoyed that Shirley Manson was in the doc too.
Did you like them calling Courtney Love obnoxious halfway through it?
Shit on Courtney so hard. I love Courtney Love, so I think she gets a lot of flack. I mean, she might be obnoxious, but I don't know. She was in the documentary briefly and she seemed fine to me. I think she gets shit on way more than she deserves. She probably acts a lot of the way that she does because she gets shit on so much.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it hasn't been. Well, whatever. I think Courtney Love as a whole, I think there's a whole big long conversation to be had about.
Which hopefully we'll have at some point, because I will definitely choose Hole at some point. I love that band.
See, I think if you were going to do, like, I think L7 is a better pick to me than Hole. Like, this was more fun for me to discover.
That's why I chose them. I literally chose this for you.
That I think listening to Hole would be. I think there's a little bit too much baggage for Hole to be like a fun discovery. For L7, it was just like, oh, this is cool. And it was its own kind of, they were their own thing.
They really are their own thing because they're not just straight punk. They're not just straight metal.
Yeah.
They're a really cool combination of the two. And the voices and just the way they play, they're so fucking good. And their energy on stage and shit too is just killer, man.
Yeah, I would still go see them live today. Like,
oh, me fucking too. And they're on tour right now.
Are they?
They're not coming anywhere near us though, so we'd have to travel.
But yeah, keep an eye out. Our growing list of bands we have to go see live is getting longer and longer every time we do one of these. They were active from like their first album was in 88. Their last album, the first run, was in 99. So it's like an 11-year album to album span. So they've reunited in 2014 and they've only released one album in that time. But like that's the same, like they've almost been reunited as long as they were in the original.
Interesting.
They've been I'm sure a little bit of a legacy act. I think having a new album out makes it a little bit different, but they're like second incarnation is almost as long as their first. So that one was Bricks Are Heavy was their major label debut. They signed to Slash, which is like, I don't know, it's really I'm pretty sure it's owned by Warner Brothers. Like I think is a subsidiary of Warner Brothers.
I like how they made the parental advisory a part of the album cover.
Yeah, put little flames around it. They like
put flames around it. Yeah, that's fucking sick. Yeah. They're like, yeah, fuck y'all.
I think that was definitely a time to like wear the parental advisory sticker as a badge of honor a little bit.
Shit List is such a good song. Oh my God. Yeah. Literally the first song is Wargasm. Like, come on. So good.
That's a great opening track. That goes in a long list of like, you guys did a good job putting that song first.
I think they killed it with their first songs. All their first songs rip really fucking hard, and it just pulls you right in for the rest of it. Diet Pill, oof, that one was rough.
Everglade has Susie on lead vocals. Like I also thought it was cool that they swapped lead vocal parts. Everybody contributes to singing at different points. It seems like everybody contributed to the writing process as well. Like it didn't, this doesn't feel like it was like one person's band and then everybody else was like ancillary parts. It feels like they're all equal
I feel
members.
like that's more apt to happen when it's all women for some reason. They're better at collaborating or something. Because like Bikini Kill does that shit too. They even switch off instruments. Like the drummer comes out and sings a song and
Yeah.
fun stuff. It's fun to watch on stage too when they're like switching places and switching instruments. I get a kick out of that kind of stuff.
Okay, so here's an interesting thought train. Pretend We're Dead is the like hit, right? Like it was their biggest single and it was also kind of the first one that they got that broke into mainstream. Like they toured and I think were moderately successful up until that point. But that is the one that they like when they went to the UK, it's the one they played on TV and they played that song on David Letterman and stuff. Like it was like the song. And I think it's a little bit out of character for their normal sound. And I also think that like when there was a bunch of interviews where they were talking about in retrospect that they were like, you had to kind of be embarrassed about having a hit song for them. And so they would like shit talk that song or like when they played it live, they would kind of do it tongue in cheek. And they said they like brought out people to like do dumb stuff on stage while their single was playing as a way to sabotage themselves because they came from the underground. And so having a hit was like separating them from the underground. So it's like you wanted to be popular and have a hit, but you also wanted to maintain your like independent street cred. And I think that's an interesting dynamic specifically for bands of this era and of this sort of like alternative genre.
I would agree. It's a hard line to straddle, but I think that they stayed pretty true to themselves throughout.
Oh yeah, I would agree with that. The thing I was reading was from a more recent thing where they're like, you know, since they've been touring, since they reunited, and they're like, we're over that now. Like when we play Pretend You're Dead, we play it with the same enthusiasm and energy as we do in the other songs. Like we recognize that it was a important part and it's connected with people and like we want to give it the respect that it deserves. But at the time it was kind of like, yeah, this is our single, you know, like, yeah, this is the one they're playing on MTV, you know, and you kind of had to be embarrassed about it a little bit, which I think is, I don't know, ironic or it's that balancing thing of like you want to be popular, you want to be known, but you also don't want to be corporate.
I struggled with that. I struggle with that same thing, like just in general. I want to be known by the right people and be able to like make a living doing my art or whatever, but I don't want all the shit that comes along with it. How about when they flew those banners above the festivals that they weren't booked on?
Dude, that was awesome. So that was for the last album, the one that they like self-recorded and self-released. That was how they promoted it because they didn't have major label money. Hilarious. Did you see the two festivals they did it over?
Lilith Fair was
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
It was like bored.
Yeah.
And the other one said like whatever needs more beaver, whatever festival it was.
It was Warp Tour.
Okay, yeah.
It was like
Warped
the
needs more
2000.
beaver, which they were in the first Warp Tour, so I don't know why the fuck they wouldn't be on every Warp Tour.
I saw that too. Well, it makes me wonder what, you know, did something happen or was there a falling out or I mean, they also just weren't as popular in 2000 as they were in 95. But yeah, they were on the first Warp Tour. Like that was a cool.
Were they
I
on
don't
any
know.
other after that?
Any other Warp Tours? I don't know. I didn't look up. They did like Lollapalooza in 94 and then Warp Tour in 95, which I always think of Lollapalooza as like a Woodstock, like a one place event. I always forget that it is like a tour, like Warp Tour.
Oh yeah. I always thought of it as a one place event as well.
I think it may be like they still do Lollapalooza.
I think so. I heard they were bringing back Lilith there.
Yeah, L7's headlining.
Oh my god. That would be amazing.
So I think now that Lollapalooza is just a like a one-time like weekend event. But that the 94 one was like that big tour that went all over the place.
I think of Lollapalooza as kind of a grunge vibe.
So Bricks Are Heavy came out in 92. That was the same year that they had the tampon incident in Reading in the UK. And I had conflated that with Lollapalooza, but I also think that it was like there's the Woodstock 99 where it got like super muddy and everybody was throwing mud and stuff. And I knew mud throwing was involved, so I think that I may have conflated that in my brain. But that was like I knew that about L7. That was like the one thing that I knew about them because it made all the like most outrageous rock and
It was
roll
like on
moments
MTV
or like
and yeah,
and it was
totally.
on like I said all those VH1 like countdown shows and stuff. It was always mentioned in that, but I didn't really understand the context of it. I feel like it wasn't as like it wasn't premeditated. You know what I mean? It
No,
feels like it was just a thing that was in the moment.
I've done loads of shit like that, so I can relate. Like, oh, you're gonna throw mud at me? Well, fucking suck my tampon, bitches.
Yeah, like it felt like a response to just a weird set and having a bad time and having people throw mud and shit at you, which
Yeah.
definitely wasn't fun.
Fuck no. Audiences are crazy. Large masses of people do the weirdest shit sometimes. I cannot imagine throwing shit at a fucking someone on stage. That's so fucked up.
I can't imagine continuing to perform after that. Like you get one, you know, like haha, funny thing. The second one's like, I'm out, guys. This is like y'all are missing out. I get to hear me play every night. The patience that it would have to take to go through to like continue the set and do the whole set, impressive.
They held their shit together surprisingly well.
Yeah.
The tampon thing was nothing. You could see by the looks on their faces that they were fucking pissed.
Yeah.
I've had a bad show or two. I don't think I've ever had anyone throw anything at me that I can recall. So that's nice.
Well, there's always hope. That is like the beginning of their big, like, I feel like they played festivals and stuff for the next 3 or 4 years. Like, that was their tours, was being on those big festivals. And that's where all those videos and stuff with Nick Cave and them on their tour buses and all that stuff came from, too. That's the part, like, that, like, 92 to 97 when they're signed to Slash and playing festivals. Like, that feels like the peak. And Hungry for Stink came out in the middle of that, came out in 94. The album, like, it's another one of those things, like, yeah, I kind of see why this, it's like it's off-putting. Like, I can see why this didn't have like the most mainstream or wide appeal.
Yeah, that fucking album cover is intense.
Yeah. But like, do you see, like, this is like Slipknot adjacent. This hits that same like Slipknot, or that, like, not musically, but with the imagery and the album cover, and
yeah,
maybe a little bit musically feels like a precursor to it.
I was gonna say they're metal as fuck.
It's just way heavier than I expected. I really like Hungry for Stink. I think that it, out of context and stuff, it feels more like a major label album than Bricks Are Heavy did. Bricks Are Heavy still feels a little more raw.
Yeah, that was the end of the rawness. I feel like that kind of ended at Bricks Are Heavy.
I like the production on Hungry for Stink. I think it sounds really good.
I wasn't sure what to think about it. That's why I was re-listening to it again today.
Did you come to any conclusions?
Not really. I like it all.
It wouldn't be where I would start with.
Yeah.
But like I said, it might be my favorite one out of all of them.
Interesting.
If I had to pick one. I don't know. It goes between that, any of those three.
Which three? Smell the Magic, Bricks Are Heavy, and Hungry?
Yeah.
Mine are the first three all the way.
But like, this also feels like a place where people dropped off fan wise too. Like, I think they plateaued. I think they got as popular as they were going to get with Bricks Are Heavy, and then had about the same amount of rollover for the next couple of albums. This one's the one they toured Warped Tour right after it came out. Like, all of their stuff, I always look at the Billboard charts. This one got up to 117, but like none of their stuff broke with like a #1 album. And I think that was the expectation when they signed to the major, you know, that they would be in that like top 10 at least in the new charts and stuff when they came out. And they just never got that popular for whatever reason. I feel like they were harder working than the Replacements were. If we're looking at bands that like signed to majors and then never really broke fully,
yeah,
I feel like the Replacement stuff was a lot more self-inflicted.
Yeah.
For why that didn't happen. And L7 feels like it was like more factors out of their control for why it didn't happen.
Yeah. And it probably partially had to do with the fact that they all had vaginas, which is fucked up.
Yeah, for sure.
Because they're a really good ass band.
Especially when you're playing heavier music that appeals to like bro-y dudes, you know, like there's not going to be a lot of like tough guys that are
exactly. The bros are going to be dicks about it,
or not, you know, they're not going to buy the girl band album or whatever,
which is fucking dumb of them because this shit is hard. The shit goes super hard.
Yeah, it's heavier than a lot of other music.
Yeah, I think a lot of men would love this shit if they would just fucking listen to it. A lot of male bands have vocalists that sound like fucking women anyway. So who fucking cares?
Yeah, she's not the most like, yeah, she can get pretty heavy like growls and screams and
yeah,
and
she
yells
fucking
and stuff
can,
too.
dude.
Like,
It's crazy. When I tried to scream along, it hurts.
Yeah, I don't know how she did not shred her, like how they didn't have to take time off from touring and stuff from shredding her vocal cords.
Me either.
And I think like they kind of glossed over it in the documentary, which I think is a byproduct of having the band be that closely tied to the production of it. They're not going to get like real in the weeds on the darker side of stuff. I do think there was a lot of like drug and alcohol abuse during this phase too. And I'm sure they got major label money, but I'm also sure that they spent all that major label money on like tour buses and
Well, yeah, that's what it is.
because they were talking about how like, oh, we get to tour in a bus now and we get to stay in hotels. And it's like, yeah, but you're paying for that on the back end. And so it never felt like they made money because it felt like they like broke even, right? Like all the money they made went to pay for the touring and the production and all that, which I just think is a major label. They weren't business
Scam.
savvy.
That's how it works.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's literally how it works. That's how it works with a lot of film stuff too. It's like you get this money, but you have to pay it back kind of a vibe.
Yeah. Or you're going to get just enough to get the things that you need because sure, you're going to go on bigger tours, but those bigger tours are going to be more expensive and then you have to pay more, so you're getting more money, but you're also spending more money.
Yeah, you're not actually getting the money.
Right.
The venues and everything else is getting the money.
Right. So the Beauty Process is their last major label album. And the full title is The Beauty Process Triple Platinum, which I think is, again, hilarious.
They're so funny.
For a band that's knowingly struggling, selling enough albums to justify their existence on the major and all that stuff, like titling it Triple Platinum when they haven't even gone gold yet. I don't know. So funny.
It's hilarious.
Did you see the other documentary about them? Because the one we watched was Pretend We're Dead. There's another one called The Beauty Process. Did you see that one?
Oh yeah, that Chris Novoselic made or whatever.
Yes. Yeah. Did you watch it?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like an art film.
Kind of. It's also kind of like, when you're sitting around with your friends and be like, wouldn't it be funny if we did this little skit or whatever? Like
Yeah,
it feels
totally.
very ramshackle.
Oh yeah.
And like all their little sketches and stuff. I don't know. It's just really funny because I can
the part
hear
where they're like in the boardroom or whatever, like giving their feedback on products or whatever the fuck it was.
Yes. I can hear all the brainstorming sessions that like led to there's like the one where they're like meeting the record executive or whatever, and then he gets really superstitious and they open an umbrella inside and he like freaks out and runs out of the room. And it was like half baked, but in a charming sort of way.
Yeah, it reminded me of like shitty sketch comedy from the 90s.
Yes, it very much had that Kids in the Hall or Upright Citizens Brigade.
They loved comedy too. Like in one of the documentaries, they were telling some band that they were the Ellen Aldas of punk, and then that band responded that they were the Carol Burnett's of punk. And both of it made sense to me, although I don't remember what the Alan Aldas of punk.
It was Fugazi.
Which band that
Fugazi was
Alan okay,
Alda
yes,
punk.
That's what it was, and that makes a lot of fucking sense because he was an intelligent motherfucker.
Yeah, and like politically serious and had opinions about things.
Exactly.
I think that that's such a funny pairing. Because you would think that it's like, yeah, they're both heavy. They're both like, but mentality wise.
But then one of them's like major pranksters and one of them's like hella serious. Yeah.
Yes, like Fugazi, I would not describe as fun in almost any context.
But you never know behind the scenes. It could be like true. Nick Cave in the documentary where he's all smiling and dancing around with them. Maybe the Fugazi guys were super fun because there was some Ian. He was in one of the documentaries briefly that I watched.
Yeah.
And he was smiling and being goofy. So, but yeah, all that made a lot of sense to me.
They went on tour with Marilyn Manson after The Beauty Process as a way to like boost their exposure, which again, weird pairing,
does make sense,
but also makes sense.
To me, that makes sense. He's a piece of shit, but I don't think they knew that back then. So.
Right. And you're talking about like expanding your fan base or whatever, and he's blowing up. And it does seem like Marilyn Manson fans, especially for this album where it's a little more like, it's not quite as like metal and like punk rock, and every song is kind of fast and there's a little bit more variety in it. It's still dark and heavy, but it's a little more atmospheric. Mm-hmm. And I could really see the thought process of like a Marilyn Manson fan would have probably really liked this album at the time.
Also, Marilyn Manson has a lot of women fans, so it definitely would make sense that they would see the crossover there.
But I don't think it didn't work. I think they tried that and it still didn't sell, like they were looking for. And they found out that they were dropped while they were on tour. The label was just like, we're not doing this anymore, which would really suck, man. That would be a real morale.
That hurts.
Yeah.
Yeah, no shit. Wait till after at least. Come on.
Right. Or like, have some negotiations of like, how about next time we try again, but we get a little, but no, they were just like straight up dropped, which I didn't find anything about like the label changing hands or executives moving in or out or whatever, but I could definitely see that happen. It didn't feel like they had a lot of like backing or loyalty, but it also felt like they hated the industry. And so I could see it being like, we're not going to deal with these people that don't want to play the game.
Yeah.
And them being like, well, we're not going to play the game either way, sort of thing. Because a lot of that Chris Novoselic is very anti-music industry.
Anti-establishment, totally.
Yes, which is like great. If that's what you want to do, if you want to go that route, that's great. But it also makes sense for the label to be like, you want to go that route, there's the door.
Yeah, that fake boardroom scene where they're all listening to music and telling, like, giving feedback or whatever.
Yeah, and some of the things drug on a little long.
It was hella cheesy. Way too long. Way too long. There could have been more cuts.
Yeah. But it was fun. And it's fun to see a band still, I don't know, like they didn't take themselves seriously and they were still having a good time doing it.
Yeah.
Did you see the thing about their roadie died in their tour bus?
Yeah.
Which like that's brutal
Fucked
also.
up. Yeah.
Like, yeah. And so that pairing with like your records aren't selling that well, the labels dropped you, like that had to have been a really difficult time to go through for them.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Which I think makes sense why
Jennifer
the bass player left. Yeah. Because they said like the Kurt Loder thing cut to him and he's like, she left to return to college. And it was like, yeah, I think they didn't have any money. And she was, I guess her dad had just passed away and their friend had just died. And it was like you were talking about earlier, like, I've been doing all this work and I have nothing to show for it. I need to go do something else.
Yeah.
That makes perfect sense to me. Like that feels like a natural time to peace out.
And I think that resulted in that next album without her being kind of sad.
Yeah.
I think they all kind of missed her. And so it kind of made the music a little bit sad. It was like a little slower. She had a lot of fire.
It was sad and angry.
Yeah. Like Jennifer had a really strong personality. So I think you could just tell that one little bit was missing.
Yeah. Well, and Danita is, they're all like, again, excellent musicians and great guitar players. And so she played bass on most of the stuff because they had a replacement bassist, but she couldn't make it to sessions or whatever. You're missing that extra flavor or that, like, even though you're technically playing the parts, if it's not that other person bringing their spirit to it, like it's not gonna kind of be the same.
Exactly. They all just locked in that four.
Yeah.
It was just the perfect little blend.
And I guess it was after that album that the drummer quit.
Yeah.
On like another tour or something. Because it was the two. So Susie and Danita, the two guitar players, started the band together. And I think they ended the band together also. Like again, I think they found a new bass player, a new drummer. But like Slap Happy, I think is really like, it felt like a plateau there for a while. But like I think Slap Happy is a pretty considerable drop in quality from the other ones. I mean, it was self-released.
The name of it is perfect for that though.
Yes. Yeah, I agree.
It's like Slapdash.
They made their own record label, Wax Tadpole,
which is kick-ass. It's like, oh, you're gonna drop us? Well, we're just gonna do it ourselves. Then fuck you.
They released it jointly on their own label, Wax Tadpole. But also, did you see the other label it was released on?
I don't know.
It's called Bong Load. And I was like, okay, that also sounds like something that they made up to release it. So I went and I was like,
Yeah,
all right, what's up with Bong Load Records? And so I was looking at it. It's an independent label based in California, but they are the ones that signed Beck. Like Beck's single Loser was the first independent single to reach #1 since like FM radio became a thing.
Wow.
They released Loser, they released Odelay, they released like there were like 4. They did Elliott Smith XO came out on Bong Load.
What the
And so
fuck?
I was expecting it to be this like yes, yeah, like something that would live up to the name Bong Load. And it was like, oh wait, no, there's actually been some iconic stuff released on this album.
Underestimating loading a bong, man. The power of loading a bong.
But when you see it's like their last breakup album is released on Bong Load Records, you're like, okay, this is where we're at now. But no, it was a legit record label. Had no idea. So Wax Tadpole was their thing. Did you see where that name came from?
Well, it was their first name, the first song on their first album.
So I was looking at that, Bite the Wax Tadpole.
Yeah.
There's a weird story behind that phrase, that it was the Chinese translation of the phrase Coca-Cola. Like when you translate that sound into Chinese, it
The
translates
fuck?
as bite the wax tadpole.
Interesting.
And I was like, that sounds like some untrue shit. So I looked it up on Snopes. And they said that like when Coke first went over there, some of the characters that some of the places that sold Coke, like they just did it phonetically and made the little characters match the phonics. And so it wasn't ever like an official phrase or what. Like Coke ended up coming up with a whole other thing. But some of the places had like nonsensical phrases just to sound like Coca-Cola. And one of those phrases
Mm-hmm.
translated to bite the wax tadpole.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, I was like, because that it just sounds like a cool phrase that's kind of nonsense or whatever. But
I assumed it was some kind of euphemism,
yeah, that was the other thing.
like
Like
bite my clit or something. You know what
maybe
I
it had
mean?
something to do. Yeah, whatever the wax
Because I'm
tadpole
like that
is.
that could be referred to as a wax tadpole, possibly.
And
It's
they
kind of
would not
tadpole
shy
shaped.
away from including that in
No,
their
they
songs
wouldn't. I
either.
love the song that says, she's fast, she's mean. That one, Fast and
Yeah,
Frightening, that's like has so much clit, she don't need no balls. I
yeah.
love that fucking line, dude.
Which to
It's
me
so
sums
badass.
them up as like that's who we
No
are. You
shit.
know, we're not.
Exactly.
Which is also okay. You don't want to be pigeonholed as a girl band. I get that. I think that's totally reasonable and totally makes sense. But there is an element of like that's who you are, and being that and saying we are better than everybody else also, I think is an empowering thing.
Apparently, that song was about the chick from L7, the dyke that she talked about, how she saw her and said, I want to be a dyke.
So yeah, Slap Happy is definitely a drop off, but it's not like,
It's not bad.
again, I'm always going to come back to the Clash's Cut the Crap as the like sad death of a great band. It's not Cut the Crap. That's the bar for like how the mighty have fallen.
Yeah.
It was still listenable. It wasn't like night and day worse than their other
No,
albums, I don't
no,
think.
not at all. None of their shit is bad, period.
And then they all went their separate ways. There was a little bit of side project bands afterwards. Nobody broke big with anybody else. It didn't really, it kind of felt like they all moved on from the music industry or, went and did other art related stuff for a while. And then they got back together in 2014.
I didn't do much research on what they did after.
I looked up a couple of bands. Danita and Dee were in Danita Sparks and the Stellar Moments. They released the album in 2008.
Oh, yeah.
And it's fine. I listened to about half of it. It's okay. It's a very similar vibe to Slap Happy to me. It's kind of like DIY, and it was okay. It wasn't great. It wasn't as good as any L7 stuff. So Danita started posting, she started archiving all of her L7 stuff on Facebook. And then it started to get really popular, and like she saw that people were clamoring for a reunion. And so it feels like they just kind of like recognized that and all got back together. And or I guess not the original four, but the main four members all reunited and have been touring and stuff.
Their most powerful form.
Yeah, yes, the Voltron of L7.
Exactly.
But like that's the other thing. It's not like one of the members was like, I'm gonna take the L7 name and get like 3 touring musicians to play with me. Like when they reformed with the core 4.
Well, and it seemed like when Jerry left the Spice Girls, it was like very upsetting to all of them. And
Yeah.
it was a little bit dramatic. It seemed like when these girls, when one of them would leave, they were upset, but it wasn't like, fuck that bitch or anything. They were all still tight throughout the whole thing.
And like no bad blood.
Yeah, well, and I think some of that comes from a sort of just being like a punk in general and kind of having like a sort of roll with it, kind of nonchalant type of a vibe. And a lot of punks don't have that, but a lot of them do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's the overly angry ones, but then there's the ones that are like, just roll with it. And these girls are really fucking fun and like just roll with it kind of guys. And it seemed like they have a lot of love for each other and that they all get each other on a really deep level. I don't know, maybe a lot of them just understood and got it, and there wasn't hella bad blood or anything, which is cool.
Well, and again, I think that the fact that they split and didn't like one person didn't try to drag it out super long and do like 3 more albums, and there wasn't like custody battles for the songs of who gets rights to what and who wrote on what songs and all that stuff. Like it just seems like, yeah, this is the end. And
they all just knew that the 4 of them together was what it was. And if it wasn't that, then it wasn't anything. It seemed like they would all be on the same page about that. And it's interesting that L7 is square and there's 4 of them.
I didn't put that together. That's fun. I do like, I had no idea that's where the name came from.
Really?
I didn't really think L7 loser.
You don't remember that being a phrase in the 90s?
No, I do, but I never thought about it being an L and a 7 like together. to make the square. It just never. It's not like I thought about it and couldn't figure it out. I just never thought about
Yeah.
it. I always thought it like stood for something, or there was some like an acronym or
It's
something.
the perfect band name. It's so good.
I think that they are kind of dorks. Like I
Yeah.
think they're kind of dorky.
That's why they chose it, which is so cool that they're not like trying to hide that. Like I think a lot of dorky punks would be like trying to put on this like hardcore persona or something, and they were just themselves all around. And again, this is why they're so good, is because they're authentic, man. It always comes down to that for me. Like when you can tell a band is super authentic, they're so much better.
How did you feel about their reunion album, Scatter the Rats?
Good. Better than the two before it, I think.
I think better than
or better than Slap Happy, at least.
Yeah, better than Slap Happy for sure. I like the Beauty Process too. I went back and re-listened to that one.
Yeah, no, I like the Beauty Process too. I think Scatter the Rats and the Beauty Process are right on the same level for me.
Yeah, it's like that's a little bit of a dip for those.
Yeah.
See, and I would put Beauty Process closer to Hungry for Steak quality wise.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I had the Beauty Process as well. I might have had Hungry for Stink too, actually.
I did not own any of these. I'll be looking at, really, I want to own these on CD. This feels like CD music.
I probably have them. If I find them, I'll give them to you.
Yeah, I'll put them in my CD case, man. It'll be great.
I don't have a CD collection. I don't have a reason to have CDs anymore. So if I find mine, I'll.
You don't have anything that can play a CD?
I don't, because my computer doesn't even, they don't put disk drives on computers anymore. So
I just have my car. I just have my CD player in my car. And it makes me not ever want to get a new car because I don't want to lose my CD player.
You know what? Actually, I have a CD player in my car too, now that you mention it.
There you go. Buy a CD wallet, fill it full of your old CDs, and drive around listening to CDs. It's great.
I already have a CD wallet that is my old CD wallet, already still filled with all my old CDs.
There you go. There's the rest of your afternoon.
I have Fugazi. I have at least two Fugazi albums. I have The Argument and the first one. You have a lot of the bands that we have done and a lot of the bands that we're going to do on CD.
Nice.
From back in the day. Next time I get a chunk of money, I'm going to be buying some new L7 merch too, because they still have that shirt that I've always wanted on their website, and they have matching sweatpants.
It's probably the same ones that were printed in the 90s
Fucking
that
probably.
they couldn't sell.
No, there's no way. Because back in my day, like in the late 90s, when they were already pretty much over with, was when I was into them. And I'm pretty sure they sold their shirts at like Hot Topic and shit at that time. So
I did see that the Bong Load record label went under and they didn't have enough money to buy the CDs from the record label. So they like had all the CDs printed but not distributed, and they all just got like sent to the landfill because they couldn't afford to
that's fucked up.
rebuy their. I know, it's so sad. It's
that's
like
so fucking stupid and greedy of the record label too. Like, fuck you.
Yes, it's so dumb. Like, just give them to them if you're gonna throw them away.
So fucking dumb, dude. As a parting gift, at the very least. Yeah, if you're gonna throw them away, like, fuck you, man. That's just a slap in the face. It's so goddamn rude.
I think it's interesting that L7 and Bikini Kill both reunited around the same time that Trump got reelected, and the like.
Yeah, because we need you.
They need us. They need us back out there. Like.
Yeah, we do.
So before their like reunion album came out, they just did like one-off singles, and one of them is Dispatch from Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah.
So it was like, I think a lot of it was also, a lot of the newer stuff was also a response to the definitely. Political times.
And it's funny because in their interviews and stuff, they don't talk a ton about political shit. They don't harp on it, but their lyrical content is telling you what they fucking think.
Well, and they also, so the like last thing that I really wanted to make sure we got in here was the Rock for Choice.
Oh yeah.
Festival thing that they put on in the 90s.
Badass.
Yeah, it was 91 into like, it ran for 10 years. They only were, I think, super affiliated with it for the first 2 or 3 years, but they started it as like a pro-choice fundraiser thing. But they also sold kits on how to basically set one up in your own town if you wanted to have a Rock for Choice show, like all the tools that you would need in order to organize it. And I was like, that's really cool, man. Like that's the stuff. That's right, what people need. Exactly. That's how you empower and get your message out.
Exactly. Apparently multiple people did it too.
Yeah, I saw there were a bunch of people that did it, but like Nirvana played those shows, Rage Against the Machine headlined some. Like it was a really a kind of a who's who of alternative rock in the early 90s sort of lineup. But it was, to me, it was like politics as living rather than politics as like messaging or branding.
Yes.
That they weren't like an overtly political like that wasn't their goal, but it was also just like who they
A part
were.
of
And so
them.
the things that
Exactly.
they did, like their mere existence was political.
Literally, this is another part of them being so authentic. Like they just lived who they were, and that's what came out, which
And it
is
did get to the point, I think, where they were like, okay, this is everybody's thinking this is the only thing we're about. So like they kind of handed it off. Like it was painted and kind of backed away from it, but it felt like they like gave it to other people to run, and they're like, we're gonna get back to playing music because that's what we are. Like that's what we want to do
mhm,
is play music. Like that always felt like job one, and then all the other stuff was kind
just
of
a part of it because that's how they are. Yeah, totally. This band fucking kicks
but
ass.
yeah, they're awesome. Thanks for the
I
opportunity
thought you would like that.
to dig into it. It was really fun. I liked it a lot. It's very, very, very easy to listen to.
Right?
You could just put it on and go about your day doing stuff. It's not difficult.
So you're going to continue to listen to them, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep an eye out for their albums and I'll pick some stuff up.
That'll be in your rotation.
I've got some of their songs on like my normal regular listening playlist. But yeah, I definitely am gonna think of them as a lot more than the tampon band from VH1.
Yeah.
Or like really it's like a sub-tier grunge band. That's kind of what I had just had them lumped in as. And
Not
they're
that at all.
a lot, yeah, they're a lot more than
So
that.
much more than that. I forgot about the tampon thing until I started this process. And then I was like, oh yeah, that happened.
No, that's like immediately what I
Yeah, I totally forgot that even happened just because I've always liked this band. So yeah, doesn't this make sense that I would have listened to this as a teenager?
yeah,
I
definitely.
liked a lot of the chick rocker bands from back then. Like watching the documentary brought up a lot of bands that I was like, "Oh yeah, them." Like the Lunatics for instance. Babes in Toyland. There was like a handful of bands that I was like, "Oh yeah, that band." So I put a lot of bands on my list of bands to do in the future from watching these documentaries because there was a lot of badass chick bands on there. And a couple that I hadn't even ever heard of.
Babes in Toyland was one that was like the next autoplay band. It was a lot of Babes in Toyland, and 7 Year Bitch was one, which
Yeah.
I enjoyed that.
Screaming Females.
I own some Screaming Females albums.
Bratmobile.
See, and Bratmobile came up a lot with Bikini Kill.
Yeah.
And because they were a Riot Girl band, they were one or the other.
But there were a few that I had never even heard of, like Cat Butt. I don't think I've heard of that band. So I was like, I need to look into Cat Butt.
I got a cat butt. Where's she at? Can look
Yeah,
right
I
into
noticed.
it.
I don't want to look into that. Wrong choice of words. So when I was looking at things that they were in, because they were in multiple movies, like movie soundtracks and like, so I ended up watching Serial Mom because they were actually in it as a band called like Camel Lips or some shit like that. And they had these
Yeah.
like camel toe tights on that were really funny. And they wrote the song specifically for that. And it's like the climax of the movie, which was really entertaining. Did you watch it?
I did not.
It's a John Waters classic. It was really fucking hilarious. Kathleen Turner, she's so funny in it. It's a star-studded cast. It has fucking Matthew Lillard, like, oh my god, Sam Waterston or whatever from Law and Order is the dad in it.
I did see that like they were friends with John Waters.
That makes a lot of sense.
Like he was a part of the LA punk scene or whatever that they were a part of. Like he was at clubs with them and stuff.
That makes a lot of sense. But yeah, they were also had their songs in multiple movies that were really important to me as a kid. Like Tank Girl was one of them. But another thing that I wanted to tell you about, because I'm assuming that you didn't watch any of this, and this really got me going. So there was a public access show called Decoupage TV that was based in fucking like the Bay Area, and I was on a public TV show in the Bay Area that kind of reminds me of this, but it was way later. So this kind of got me excited. It's like a drag queen that hosts it. And anyway, so many cool people were on it. Like Exene was on it on the episode that L7 was on. So anyway, I dug that up on fucking YouTube and watched a lot of Decoupage TV for like
Nice.
probably
Oh, cool.
a few hours. It was fucking sick, dude. You should check it out. It's totally
so they
worth
had
it.
episodes of it.
Oh yeah. I tried to go to just decoupagetv.com and that exists as something else now. It's not what I wanted it to be, but Decoupage TV has a YouTube channel with like all these old clips from the show. It's pretty fucking sick. It has like a bunch of cool bands on it too. It's really cool.
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna add them to the list.
Yeah,
That
I
looks
was
really
really
fun.
glad that I looked it up because it was right up my alley. I was like, this is the kind of show that I would fucking make. Like, it's good ass shit. It's funny. And the sets were really fucking sick. I was like, damn, who made this shit? It was really killer. And it was just real funny too. Like the names of things like FU2 is the name of like the robot. It's kind of like R2D2, but it's FU2.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, it's just funny shit like that, which I got a kick out of. It's kind of got a Mystery Science Theater type of energy visually.
I wish that public access was more of a thing
Me
here,
too.
like weird, quirky
Public
public
access had
access.
the best shit on it, dude. I grew up on public access. I love that like no budget vibe because you're
Yes.
more creative when you don't have a budget.
And it's like it's gonna be bad, but it's fine. Like that's
It's
part
bad
of
in a good way.
yes. Yeah, because you're trying to
It's
do something
unique.
cool. Yeah.
Yes,
Yes,
I
definitely.
fucking love that shit.
It's like the interviews where stuff is going to go wrong. Like stuff is not going to be I feel like everything is so polished and
Oh yeah.
that there's not room for stuff going, like stuff going sideways, then you have to deal with that.
I think his name's Fred Willard. Do you know who that is? He's in a
Yeah,
lot
the
of Christopher
actor.
Guest movies.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
he's
yeah.
so funny. He's on an episode and he's
Uh,
not complying with what the interviewer wants, but it was so funny. You have to watch that. I'm pretty sure it's the same episode or the episode right after L7. It was so goddamn funny though. He and the host are making decoupage together.
okay, I've
He's hilarious.
subscribed to their YouTube page on
Yes.
our YouTube page.
Okay, fuck yeah. Yeah, because there's tons of bands on it. It's so great. A lot of that Bay Area shit, LA and Seattle converge in the Bay Area, I feel like.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
Yeah, it was killer. So highly recommend.
We'll check that out. Well, cool.
Final thoughts. This band fucking rocks.
Yeah, they rule. I'm
So
telling you, an
good.
L7 Iron Maiden playlist or an L7 Iron Maiden show would be incredible.
Oh yeah. Oh my God.
So the technical prowess of Iron Maiden, like they are a machine. As you talk about like bands self-sabotaging, they're the opposite of that. Like they are a tight
Yeah.
machine. If you could give their know-how to a band like L7 so they could do stage production and like huge stuff, I would love to
Oh
see
my
what
God.
that mashup
They would
be
have a big
like.
sick robot like that too. Honestly, L7 could just take the stage decor of Iron Maiden and it would go
it's
great
like
with L7.
from the last
Just
tour,
take all
from the
their
last
leftovers. Yeah.
yeah, it's like y'all aren't using this version of Eddie anymore. Yeah, we'll put him up and make blood shoot out of his eyes or whatever.
That'd be great.
No, they're awesome. I think they fit right in with a lot of the stuff we've listened to, but like
I agree.
they are also unique in their own way. I think that they
agree.
got the short end of the stick in their current times. I think they got unfairly lumped in with a lot of people and like unfairly compared to like, well, this doesn't sound like whatever, or it sounds too much like whatever. But I think in retrospect, I think they're going to be appreciated a lot more. It's cool that they get to like come back and see the impact that they had now
Yes.
when I don't think they got to experience it then.
I agree because now they know it's just for them too. Like a lot of it was they were at festivals, so their big ass crowds were at festivals. So it's like could be for them, could be for other bands, but now
Right.
they know that it's just them that we want them. Tour to Texas, L7.
Yeah, keep an eye out. We'll go see a live show.
Fuck yeah.
Are you ready for the next adventure?
Mm-hmm.
This one's going to be difficult, but I think I want to try it. I think I'm going to challenge us. This one's going to be a little bit out of our comfort zone, and it's going to probably take a little bit of pre-research before we even start listening. So I've already cheated a little bit and done a little bit of
Oh God.
background stuff. I feel like we've hit, especially with this season, we've hit the 80s and 90s really hard. Like I feel like we spent most of our time in the 80s and 90s. Patsy is the oldest artist that we've gone back and listened to, but I kind of wanted to go further back in time. Like I kind of want to go back a little bit more to a little bit older stuff.
Okay.
I was thinking about doing like jazz or some like
I love jazz.
soul stuff, but I don't feel prepared personally to speak on that. Like I don't feel like I have enough of a musical education to properly contextualize stuff. So I'm going to try to keep it in the rock and roll vein. And I wanted to go back to like progenitors of rock and roll, like the beginning,
Sure.
the roots of stuff. So I was looking through a couple of different articles, or like not articles, but like a couple of different options for where that came from. I feel kind of similarly about blues, that I don't want to like, I don't, again, it would require more a more world building than I have currently built to be able to properly talk about that. So what we're gonna do next, I don't want to be particular with it. I'm gonna leave it up to you how you want to, what you want to consider this artist's discography. So I'm not gonna say how many albums there are or whatever, because it's
Okay.
wonky. I'm not really sure. I haven't been able to give like a set number yet.
But it's
So,
a lot, I assume.
oh, it's gonna be a lot. Yeah. We're gonna listen to Fats Domino,
Oh my God, awesome.
but it starts with like singles from the 30s, and I don't really know where it ends. I was looking on Tidal, and there's albums released all the way up through like 2013, and I know that's not accurate. So
Right.
I kind of want to work independently to see like which albums did you consider part of the body of work versus what did I consider, and like make it less about individual tracks and more about the overall vibe and story.
Sure.
Is that,
Okay.
does that make
Yeah,
sense?
totally.
I think it's going to be a little bit of a challenge, but I also feel like it's going to be super rewarding.
Fuck yeah, dude. Fuck yeah. I love it. I'm super down. That's going to
Okay,
be fun. And that's going
cool.
to fill a space that I also am not well versed on.
Well, because I think we talk about, and it's part, I went back and listened to the Clash episode, and it's like we talk about, like, yeah, they influenced everybody, but it's like the influence of the influence of the influence of the influence. And like
Right.
this still won't be the beginning, but this I think is going to give us a little bit more shading on our understanding of the musical landscape.
I want to do a lot of that too. Every time I think of somebody from way back in the day to do, I'll research it and it'll be like 300 albums. I'm like, oh my God.
That's
Like, I
kind
don't
of
know
how
if we can do
this
that.
is going to
Yeah.
be.
Yeah. That's the only reason I haven't chose anything like that yet.
I looked at 5 or 6 different ones, and this, it's still a lot. It felt a little more manageable than some of the other people that I looked at. And I know a lot of the albums are going to have like rehashed versions of the same stuff. So I also kind of wanted to like figure out how to put that in a box or what, like, you know, how to make sense of what songs are released when and all that. So I'm going into this one like super unprepared, but I'm honestly, I'm pretty psyched about it. I've been wanting to go back
Okay.
in
Fuck yeah.
time a little bit more. But dude, anything pre like 1955 is really complicated to get a full body of work. So sorry, but also
Yes.
I think it's going to be cool.
I'm over here choosing bands with like 3 albums and shit.
Yeah, I know. I got to balance that out a little bit.
And you're like 300. No, I'm the one balancing it out because you choose the big ones and then I go out of my way to give us a break. That's why one of the reasons I chose L7, because I was like, this will be like a really easy listen and like stuff we already like, and it'll be easy to digest and it doesn't require like a shitload of research or anything.
I think this will be easy to listen to. I don't
Sure.
expect it to be like
I'm gonna
grading
agree.
or anything. I'm not gonna like read lyric sheets for 300 songs. It'll probably just be on a lot.
Well, see, that's my problem is I'm like super into lyrical content because
Yeah.
to me that tells you who the band is, you know? So I have a tendency to read I read all the lyrics to all the L7 songs. But yeah,
Well,
good one.
then I guess get ready to read. All right, what do you got?
Okay, so I was just kind of trying to go the opposite of L7, basically.
We already did the Spice Girls.
The Spice Girls is not the opposite of L7. I would argue that the Spice Girls has a lot in common with L7. But anyway,
I bet L7 would argue with you about that.
I bet they fucking wouldn't. They would probably think the Spice Girls are badass women. You know what I mean? Because they did what they wanted. They did it how they wanted. They were fucking authentic as shit. And that brought their downfall as well. They have a lot in common, I'm telling you. If I knew we were going to have this convo, I would have thought of some
I'm
more
just being
connections.
difficult.
Okay. So my pick also starts with an L, is a woman who,
L8.
good one, is a woman who has openly said she's not a feminist, which is about the dumbest thing you can say as a woman, in my opinion. So I chose Lana Del Rey.
Okay. Okay. Interesting.
Decidedly not punk. Fucking says she's not a feminist. L7 is obviously feminist as fuck. So I thought, what's the opposite of that?
I'm into it. Yeah, that'll be an interesting journey if we land on, like, that would be one. I think I know enough to know musically how I will feel about it, but like as far as digging into the background and stuff, I think that would be an interesting one to
learn more about. I'm not opposed to that. That to me is like your ABBA, how you feel about ABBA being on Wheel of
Yeah.
Death. Like I'll be fine
Yeah.
with Lana Del Rey if it lands on that. That's like almost best case scenario so far.
I would be fine listening to her music. Well, her music is actually relatively good. So I feel like I would
Yeah.
kind of be an asshole and talk shit about her as a person on it. So I'm kind of scared. I don't like to be an asshole and be judgmental and stuff, but also if you're in the public eye and you say stupid shit like I'm not a feminist and you have a vagina, like you're a fucking idiot and maybe kind of low key deserve me to talk shit about you. So I don't know. It's confusing.
Well, we'll find out, I guess. All right, so Fats Domino for next time, and Lana Del Rey goes on the Wheel of Death. Okay, well, we'll see you guys next time.
Thank you for listening to Retrospectrum. Follow us on social media at Retrospectrum Pod. Subscribe to our Patreon at Retrospectrum Pod. And if you like what we do, leave a 5-star review. Tell your friends, tell your mom, tell your dog. Bye.